Today, I'm here to speak about something that's very, very dear to me, something that has changed my life and has changed everything that I do, whether a word that I'm saying right now or whether it's something that I help out when I'm trying to serve others. Today is my topic that changed my life. It's find your why, your goal depends on it. And in the previous title, I wrote, your life depends on it. And I think that is dramatic, and it is similar to my personality. I'm a pretty dramatic guy. I'm Italian. I can't help it. But I'm being honest that your life depends on your why, your reason for anything, your reason for watching a certain show, your reason for anything. So this is the basis of my topic. But before I get into finding your why when it comes to language learning, I want to do an experiment. You guys like experiments? Yes. Why not? So my experiment today is going to be based on two pieces of sheets that are in front of you. So the two sheets that you see in front of you are going to be a €100 bill and a blank sheet. I want you to just concentrate. I know that's a fake €100 bill, but I want you to believe that it's a real bill, okay? On the other sheet, I want you to get a pen or a marker that you have with you or borrow from one of your neighbors, and I want you to think about one person. It doesn't have to be your favorite person. It can be one of your favorite people on earth, someone that's dear to you. And on that blank piece of paper, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds to write their name, envision them, and just go ahead and write their name on that blank piece of paper. I'll give you about 10 seconds to share the marker, and we're going to start this experiment. Okay, I think you all have written down that specific, very important person. Now, I want you to look at that $100 bill. I want you to put aside the name, and I want you to grab that $100 bill and put it in your palm, okay? Just hold it in your palm. Now, this is a $100 bill, and I want you to grab that and actually crunch it in your hands. And I want you to crunch it into the tiniest ball that you can possibly make it into. Okay, you did it. It's perfect. Thank you. Now you just put that ball in the side. Now, I want you to grab the piece of paper with the person's name on it. And I want you to envision a very beautiful moment with them. Whether it's when you were together, or whether they did something for you, or whether you just saw their act of kindness naturally. Something that really touched you. Now, before you actually do it, I want you to envision yourself crunching this piece of paper into the tiniest ball possible, maybe even later on stepping on it. Who in here can say that would be hard for you to do? Kevin, not really. For the people who find it a bit hard, can I ask you why it was a little difficult for you to crunch that piece of paper? But that's just a piece of paper. So do you find it still hard to? So you're not crushing him. You're just crushing a piece of paper that is of him. In that experiment, you can put your papers down now. In that experiment lies what I am here for today. Every day I wake up and ask myself, why am I here? This speech has been dedicated to you all for months because I know the why is something that comes intrinsically. Because I know for a fact that there are many people in the world that do things for extrinsic reasons, for money, for superficial, for aesthetics, for the fact that they want to, another notch under their belt. And I understand that. But it's easy to crush that extrinsic reason. It's easy just to say, hey, it's just a $100 bill. That is why I'm trying to make my point today of finding that intrinsic reason, your why. Because your why is the foundation that is going to hold your dream, your goal when it comes to language learning or any type of goal you have. And that foundation is hard, it's so strong that you can't even crush the paper. It's so strong that you could build the highest skyscraper on it. But if your foundation is weak, in my opinion, it will just crumble. And when it comes to finding your why, I want to share with you why is so important. The why is everything. So let's find your why. Before I get into that, I want to talk about this image right here of me as a 5-year-old. Just give you a little background about myself. As a 5-year-old, I was a very emotional, sensitive, and I'm going to be honest with everyone in here, I was addicted to something at 5 years old. I was an addict. Now I got your attention, Kevin. I was addicted to espresso. At 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, I would wake up and I would go into the hallway and in Italian or Napolitan, I would say, "Ma, o latte caffè è pronto?" I would say, "Ma, is my coffee ready? Is my milk and coffee ready?" And it would always be ready. And then finally, I would have that moment of gratitude, "Ma, thank you for my coffee." And that was me. I was a very sensitive, emotional, and I was an addict of coffee. But what I learned at that young age of being emotional and being a coffee addict was how important coffee was a social bond, a glue to interactions. My mom would have different people from Italy coming over our house because our community was diverse with different parts of Italian communities from Calabria to Sicily to Puglia, but also the Latin community. So that coffee was that bond between all of those moments in our house. But what was more important between those bonding moments was the emotions. And the emotions were only directly conveyed when they spoke the same language. I learned this at a young age naturally, and I'm grateful that my parents moved from a small village to being grammar school dropouts so they can come to America and give me this opportunity to say, hey, when you speak someone's language, you're going directly to their hearts. I loved it. So now let's fast forward 20 years. 20 years after this image you see here, I am still an international flight attendant. I have 2 great parents that are still healthy, friends and family that support me no matter what ridiculous thing I want to do, like jump in ice for an hour and try to survive and break world records. It's just people just support me and love me for who I am, which is, in some sense, the oddball, the outlier, and they still love me. 20 years later, I was sitting at home it was in my room, and I just came home from a trip, and I had an amazing layover. So just imagine this. I'm sitting on my bed, and without consciously doing it, it just came as like a rush, like a tsunami of gratitude. And I couldn't stop counting my blessings. And no, I was not on any hallucinogenics. I wasn't smoking that ganja. I was just sitting, and I just couldn't believe that this happened to me. This was about a week before my 24th birthday. And on that day, I said, I need to give back. And I've always considered myself a grateful, kind, and appreciative kid. So point I'm making is that I had to give back. And not just in the way of thank you. I had to do it in my own big way. My big way. No one else's big way. And I said to myself, what am I going to do? So I did what any normal, grateful 23-year-old would do. I decided to sign up to the Peace Corps. The Peace Corps, for anyone who doesn't know, is an organization in America that sends American citizens who volunteer for 2 years into countries far and beyond major cities to help people either be self-sustainable, build a well, help them start small businesses, teach them English, show them the different ways of living, and hopefully making a change worth lasting. I wanted to do the Peace Corps. I said I need to give back because all this getting has not to stop because I think people appreciate giving, but I need to give back. I applied, long application process. I pressed send. The moment I pressed send, I started dancing because I felt I was on that path to going to where I want to go. Next couple of days, I had to go to work. I was still on that high of gratitude. And on my birthday, guys, I received an email from the Peace Corps. It said in the title, subject, "Thank you so much for applying." And I looked at the email and I said, "You're welcome." Because I was so happy. I opened the email, it says, "Dear Mr. Samarelli." I felt all professional. The next thing that it said was the last thing that I expected. Unfortunately, we have to decline your application. Minimum requirements is that you do finish college. I'm a college dropout. Became a flight attendant at 21 in my senior year. I didn't think this was going to bite me in my butt. I swear this is the last thing I expected. I felt a little bit as if it was unfair. Why would someone deny me when I have so much heart and passion to give? I do have some skills that they can use, and I'll give my 100%. And I hit the ground. I still was grateful in one sense, but at that moment I couldn't look at the gratitude anymore, and I felt just crushed, like that piece of paper. But guys, just like a ball, when you bounce a ball really hard on the ground, what happens when it hits the ground? It bounces up. And I don't know why, I don't know how, but something happened that night. And I said, I could sit here and cry. I could sit here being defeated. I could feel like the biggest failure, which I did. I will be honest. All those people says, "You're going to be really a college dropout? Who's going to want you without a degree?" All those things were just whispering in my ears, telling me, "You're no one without a degree." They came in, but I told you, I had to bounce up. That night I didn't go to sleep. Peace Corps is not the only place in the world that helps people help people. I then applied to 2 places in Brazil and 1 in Peru. I made my goal that evening to keep going. I sent the applications. I started doing my dance again 3 times because I sent 3 applications. And on June 5th, 2008, I got a response, guys. And the response said from this orphanage in Brazil near Rio called Casa do Caminho, check it out, said, "Francesco," in the title, "Thank you for applying." And again, I said, "You're welcome." But I still had a little fear about the possibility. But I opened it, and it said, "We really find your application, your values, your morals lined up with ours. We would love to schedule an interview at your earliest convenience. Recruiter, Diane." I responded saying I could do it tomorrow. I was ecstatic. She responded the same hour, "We would love to do it tomorrow." The next day, guys, I set up my Skype camera. I put my suit, a vest. I would have put a flower here. That's how crazy I was. Polished my shoes, put deodorant on, sprayed cologne, as if this girl can smell me and see my polished shoes. I could have been wearing my underwear and she wouldn't have known. But my heart was so insanely crazy about this moment that I was going to give my all. We started speaking. 1 hour of questions with the recruiter from the orphanage. 1 hour, and she says, "You are an ideal fit. I'm so excited. I can't wait till the director. You are really a good fit." I felt that I was on my way again. I was on my way. The next thing I didn't really expect, which was okay. I was on a high. She says, "Okay, we will now conduct this interview in Portuguese." There's just one little problem, guys. At the time, I didn't speak Portuguese. Probably 4 words. And I'm about to tell you those 4 words. So my mind said, I can't let go of this. I polished my shoes. I can't let go of this moment. I got a lot to show here. She goes, "Okay, we will now conduct this in Portuguese." I said, "Okay. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to fake the funk." That's what we say in Jersey City. Just fake the funk. Just fake it until you make it. Fake it till you become it. So I said, "Okay, I'm going to fake it." First question, Francesco. Onde você foi criado? Where did you grow up? Where were you raised? I looked right back in the camera and I said, "Olá, meu nome é Francesco. Prazer." I said, "Hi, my name is Francesco. Nice to meet you." That's how I responded to where was I raised. She scrunched her eyes. She looked down, and I could tell what she was thinking. She goes, maybe he couldn't hear me. It was a connection problem. Okay, Francesco. In Portuguese, she goes, I'm going to ask you the question again. Onde você foi criado? I was so deaf to the language that I didn't even hear that she repeated the question. And I said, muito obrigado, muito obrigado. I said, thank you very much. Good. So I said thank you very much twice to the question she just asked me again. She smiled and she goes, Francesco, I assume that you do not speak Portuguese. And I looked back, I said, what makes you think that, Diane? What makes you think I don't speak Portuguese? She goes, we started laughing because it was obvious. Let's be real. What the story I just told you, it was obvious I don't speak Portuguese. She said the words that the Peace Corps said that crushed me, like that ball. Unfortunately, we can't accept you in our program. Unfortunately, if you can't speak the language, we can't have you as a volunteer. Unfortunately, if you do not speak Portuguese, you will not connect with the children here at the orphanage. And in that moment where there was a pause and it was awkward, it was silent, I found my why. If I don't speak Portuguese, I won't connect with the children. You see, my mind said I have 4 months to get the basics, to get the lower intermediate level they needed on the website, but she had to fulfill the requirement by July 5th. That's 30 days. Diane, I said, this might sound crazy. I know it might sound crazy, but give me 30 days to learn Portuguese. She started laughing. Very sweet, very bashful, and almost pitied me at this moment. And she said, I don't think we could do that, Francesco. We need to fulfill the position. I said, I know it's crazy, but give me 30 days to just interview you. Have the interview again in evaluation in Portuguese. I could reach lower intermediate Portuguese in 30 days. I had no plan. I had no idea what I was talking about. I wasn't a part of this community at all. I was just a guy who loved people and loved Italian and Spanish. I said, please. She pitied me so much. She said, she had her head down. She goes, I guess we can have another evaluation in July. Just doing it to make me happy in that moment. July 3rd, I said, July 5th, Diane, I promise you. I'll speak to you. We set the appointment. I said, thank you. Thank you for giving me another shot. Hung up the Skype call. I called a language school here in New York City saying I'm going to be volunteering at an orphanage. They gave me an 80% discount. 80% discount. 30 lessons, private lessons for an hour and a half every day for 30 days. I called my company and said I need to be off sick leave for a month. I then asked my mom for help. I said, Mom, I need a laptop because I need to use the resources online to make sure I get some more practice with people, whether exchange partners or resources. Please help me. And I also borrowed a book from my cousin, Teach Yourself Portuguese, which I never get back to him, and I'm never giving it back to him because it's a memorable piece of thing that I will never let go of. 30 days, 8 hours a day, which sounds ridiculous to many of you, and even though you're polyglots and love languages, I needed to learn the language. July 5th, 2008, Diane and I Skyped. Hi, Francesco. I said, hey. She looked at me with not trusting what's about to happen, but she said, I told him I'm going to see him. Francesco, are you ready now for your evaluation in Portuguese? I said, as ready as I can be. First question. Onde você foi criado, Francesco? I looked back in the camera and I said, eu nasci e foi criado em Jersey City, New Jersey. Jersey City, New Jersey, mais ou menos 10 minutos de carro em Nova York. E você, Diane, onde você foi criada? She was shocked because I said it with my heart, I said it with flow, and she continued for another 30 minutes, each question getting a little more difficult. She concluded saying, I cannot believe it, but your Portuguese is a lower intermediate that beats the requirements that we need for you to connect with the children. I got the position. I couldn't believe it, and I was on my way. Ladies and gentlemen, that was when I found my why. But what I'm really here for is to help also others find their why. You see, everyone can make their argument for what other reasons they do it for. But like many of us who learn the language for the intrinsic reasons, not for the euro, not for the job position. And I really believe that anyone who has or says, well, I did it for a job, I could honestly say, if you look deeper for that job that you wanted, it was probably because you wanted to give your children a better opportunity. So then you could speak that language, get that job, and your kids can go possibly to a better school. So even if you want to argue with me about you did it for the money or you did it for anything else, if we go a little deeper and truly find your why, it comes from an internal, heartfelt source. I want to share other whys out there. Who here has ancestors from another country other than the country you're living in that maybe speak a language that you don't speak? So I know many people in America especially, whether they're Irish and they want to learn Gaelic, or whether they're Italian, they want to learn Italian, or Polish. Doesn't matter where they're from. They always feel that I want to learn the language my grandma used to speak to us. She used to make this kind of pie or pierogies, and I always wanted to connect with her. That's one example of many, and I know you all know that already. Another one is possibly being in love. Has anyone ever been in love with someone or still in love with them that speaks a language that you do not speak and you would like to speak? A couple of you. I think of many of you, actually. I had that situation with my now fiancée. She speaks German, and I always wanted to understand her family. I don't know if they were talking bad about this American guy, you know? Americans are not the most popular people right now. And I wanted to know what they were thinking, they were feeling when they were expressing their emotions at the dinner table. That was my why for learning German. And I bet you many of you in here as well. And who in here loves a country so damn much that you want to eat their food, you want to be a part of their culture, and you want to learn their language so you could be incorporated as if you were Julia Roberts in Eat, Pray, Love? Many of you. These are just 3 examples. 3 simple examples that I can say have changed the way that I learned, but also the way that you all taught me to learn a new language. Ladies and gentlemen, I went over so many different examples, and I really know how the foundation makes a difference. And I know you do too. I would like to share my experience a little bit about my time in Brazil. You see, in Brazil, I was a caretaker for 40 kids at an orphanage. Sometimes I had only a group of 10, sometimes a group of 30. Depends on the situation. I would like to share a story with you that is very important. It's the reason why I'm here today. One day while I was in Brazil, after a month, I get a phone call from the high school. Lady on the phone says, "Hi, this is the secretary from the high school, and we have one of your children who's missing today. His name is Uderson." And I said, "Well, that's funny because Uderson left to school this morning." And she goes, "Well, he's not here." And I said, "Well, he's not here, but I guess we got to find him." And she said, "Yeah, we do." So I hung up the phone. I said, "Thank you." I hung up the phone, and it was my responsibility to find Uderson. I kept track of people's time, where they were, what they needed to do. So my mind said, where could a 15-year-old boy be? He could either be up to no good with his friends, he could possibly be up to good with his friends playing soccer, or because of the fact that Uderson told me he likes a girl, he might be with a girl. So I wandered the village, and about 20 minutes later, I found Uderson. Right underneath a internet cafe, because they were big at the time, right underneath that, it was Uderson hugging a girl. And I was going to approach him, but I said, wait, Uderson told me how much he likes her. Let me be the cool Chio. They call me Chio, uncle. And so I look from afar, I go, "Uji!" And he looked at me like, and then he's like, "Oh no, I'm in trouble." He's like, he likes me so much, but then he realized, oh my God, I got caught. So he hugged her, kissed her goodbye. And like you could tell by the way that they were letting go of each other's hands that there was a real strong connection for him and her. We were walking, and I decided to play the role of support and not punishing anyone and letting you speak when you want to speak and what you want to say. No coercing here. I'm not forcing you to tell me what you want me to hear. Just when you're ready. So we're walking, and he goes, "Oi, Chio, tudo bem? Hey, uncle, all is good?" I say, "Yeah, everything's cool. How about you?" He goes, "Yeah, cool." Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a talker. I yap, and I ask a million questions. And in this moment, I kept it silent because I wanted him to express what he wanted. We're walking, and he goes, "Chio, você tá com raiva? Uncle, are you mad?" And I said, "No, I'm not mad at all. Normally, you speak a lot, and today you're really quiet, so that means you're mad." And I said, "I promise you I'm not mad. I'm just waiting for you to tell me what you want and letting you know I support you no matter what." With that, I cracked open my friend's heart and letting him express what he's about to express. You see, everyone, Uderson and his brothers, 5 of them, experienced something very dramatic, losing both of his parents in the same day. They were left at the orphanage, and at the young age, they didn't know what love was. I think even at birth, it's a possibility that they had a tough time understanding that. Uderson is now falling in love with a girl at the tender age of 15. And he approaches me throughout that silence with a question that I never expected. "Chio, can I ask you a question?" "Go ahead, shoot." I thought he was going to ask me if we were going to have pizza that night. They always want pizza. "O que é amor? What is love?" I did not expect it. I will not lie to anyone here today. I try to avoid the question. I try to avoid with an answer that was generic and went a little bit like this. You know, Uderson, everyone has a different definition of love. You know, you just got to find what it means to you, and then you kind of like associate it with your feelings, you know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. I was running away because I know his situation. I know what he's going through with this girl. And now he's trying to figure out what this beautiful thing called love is to him. He stopped me. 15-year-old stopped me and put his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, "I want to know your definition of love." We had a good relation. He trusted me. I trusted him. I put my head down, and I said, "I'll tell you the truth then. If you ask me, I'm going to tell you the truth." Love for me is that strong, beautiful feeling of holding not just your partner's hand, but someone you love so much, so tight, that you'll do anything for them. And it's that beautiful roller coaster ride when you're up and high and you're smiling at each other, and it's so glorious. But you know how roller coasters go, right? They go down sometimes. And when you're still holding on, Uderson, to that person's hand, no matter how dark, scary, insecure, pathetic, disrespectful it gets, you still hold hands because you love. Love to me is the most beautiful thing that can exist. It's what gives us meaning of existence and why we are here, in my opinion. He got a little emotional at that time, and I can tell you why, and you'll figure it out with my words. I put my hand on his shoulder now, and I said, "Uderson, love is for the sweetest human being on the world, and love is actually even for the rudest human being on earth. Love," and I grabbed him tight, "is deserving for everyone. Everyone on this earth deserves love." And he started getting, his eyes started balling up, and I grabbed him right here, and I said, "You deserve love. You are love. You give me love. You give your brothers love. You are love." And then he just collapsed on my left chest. And I caught him, and I started crying, and I held him tight to let him know that he's here, I'm here, and I'm not letting him go. Ladies and gentlemen, I told you earlier when Diane told me that I wasn't accepted in the program because I didn't speak Portuguese, that I wouldn't connect with the children. I found my why. I found it that day. The story I just told you with Uderson falling into my chest, crying, I felt my why. I felt my why. 4 months earlier, all I know how to say was my name and thank you. That day, walking back from the internet cafe to our orphanage, I said everything I just told you in English in Portuguese. From my heart to his heart. Just like those coffee conversations from my mom and her friends. Just like what I'm doing right now for most of you. Most of you know this quote from Nelson Mandela, who is one of the best leaders of our time. If you speak to a man in his language, if you speak to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his mind. He understands you. If you speak to a man in his language, in his mother tongue, it goes to his heart. My formula for learning any language is find your why, feel your why. Add something we call empathy, and I promise you, success. Thank you very much.